You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 14, Episode 6, titled Glamazon Prime. My name's Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one imperious co-host from the podcast. Pod is my co-pilot. Please say...
I think she would literally eat a human.
To Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor. Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, Lori.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. We're taping this almost immediately after the show went off the air.
I know, this is a very quick one. Look, again, I'm going to actually use this as a selling point for going to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. What a night you could have been having tonight if you were, because there was the very lively live episode discussion where everybody kikis and hangs out and has a really good time, and I'm not allowed to go there, right? It's very much the equivalent of like when you live with your parents and your friends come over and you tell them to go upstairs. That's what happens to me. Yeah, it's my Discord, but they're like, go away, Poppy. Chill. They're like, Daddy, chill. Upstairs in your room by yourself. And so I'm not allowed.
What the hell? Yeah,
and they put a sign out there like, kids only, but the K is backwards.
I was going to say the S is backwards.
Yeah. No grown-ups allowed.
No parents, P-A-R-U-N-T.
Yeah.
S-A-L.
And then they build blanket forts and fuck. But anyway.
Wow, that took a quick turn.
Have you ever fucked in a blanket fort?
No, I can't say that I have. I don't know that I've even fucked under a blanket. It just tends to, when you're spherical like I am, it tends to just kind of roll off the back.
You know what's funny is the last time Aiden and I had sex, I actually put a blanket, but for a very strange reason. I'm not being funny here. It's going to sound like I'm making a joke. My grandparents died in 2020, and I just had this image of them looking down on a twink fucking me, and I'm like, is this really what they had in mind when they died?
So, okay, but then was like the blanket completely over both of your heads?
No. I just didn't need to have them see it. I go, and I wonder what would be most offensive to them. Aiden's younger than I am. Significantly. And that I was having sex with a much younger guy, or that he was white. I don't know.
I guess we'll never know. I guess that
I should have a seance and try and contact them.
Well, I mean, if it was raining out while you were having sex with them, then you know the answer because they were crying.
Yes. Well, I did smell tortillas baking. So maybe she was, haunting me by making tortillas and throwing. And then chancla hit me in the head, which is funny because no one was wearing chanclas. So it was really weird. Anyway, Taylor. So live episode discussion that I'm not allowed to go to, and then immediately after we come here and we covered the show Friday night. You and I covering the show, doing this recap. Now, by the way, this will not happen every week. This is a weird thing because Taylor was like, I have to go to Disney World. True?
I don't think I said it quite so nasally, but I explained that I had family coming in. Robert Alou's nephew is here, and we are going to Disney tomorrow. So
people don't know this. Robert's nephew's name is Lou. So Lou.
So Lou. He will appreciate that when I tell him that tomorrow. Yeah. Babalu and Lualu we will be getting up. And I said if we could do a half an hour early, earlier, and you
What
said,
an offer. Joe, can you do it a half hour earlier? Can you wake up even earlier? Can you have the roosters? You're waking up the roosters, please?
in the background.
Yeah.
So I said,
I am Mexican. We have roosters and chickens everywhere.
Do you really?
No. What a fucking racist. I swear to God. Okay, go ahead.
So, and I said, if we could do a half an hour earlier, then I can still tape Saturday morning because I didn't want you to have to wait because I know it's important to get. And he went, no.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to work. You'll do it Friday night. And I said, yes, Mr. Betance. I'm sorry, Mr. Betance.
We're lucky in that Zach, our usual producer, is at a Casey Musgraves concert, so I was able to write the script right away. But I like I've told you before, I love that there's two producers working around the clock just to make sure that the show's ready for Leona Helmsley in the morning on Saturday before she goes and does her white glove test. Once again, references that no one under 40 years old gets. Right?
Leona Helmsley. That's so funny. I watch one of the Instagram pages, which I think you would appreciate it too, that I follow, is one called Jeffrey Mixed. And he loves showing old clips from old TV movies of the week and really just kind of campy stuff. And he recently showed a couple of clips from the Leona Helmsley movie that was in the late 80s that Suzanne Pleshette starred as Leona Helmsley.
What a great casting, by the way. Suzanne Pleshette as Leona. Okay, let me teach the children. Leona Helmsley, actually what's so funny was I didn't get it at the time as a kid. And to me, she just was a mean old lady, but the gays loved her, and they still do, I think, the older gays. But she was like a hotel heiress. No, not even an heiress. She had married into it, right?
She married
a guy who owned a bunch of hotels. He dies, and she starts running these hotels like a motherfucking monster. It's like literally Dynasty on steroids. Then people are coming out she's hitting people and shit like that. And she's just awful human being. So they get her finally on tax evasion, right?
I was going to say, I think it was tax evasion.
Yeah, because she said only the little people pay taxes. And then, and I don't know if she was broke after that. She just went, I don't know what happened to her after the scandals died down. Did she go broke?
But, I don't know. She's dead though, right?
Yeah, she's
dead.
Oh my God. She was dead was almost dead in the 80s.
Anybody who watched Pose, the second season of Pose, the character that Patty Lupone plays, that owns the building that the nail salon is in, is loosely based on this character.
But that's funny that you say that. I was saying, Patty Lupone would play her now. Yeah. So I didn't know she'd. Okay, so that's a perfect casting too.
Yeah, she played a character similar to her.
Oh my God, yeah, what a character, Leona Helmsley. They should bring back that character. They should redo a movie of her. Oh my God, that would be. We got Faye Dunaway to play her.
That would be the casting.
Yeah.
That would be the casting right there.
Except I don't know who's worse. Faye Dunaway
they can make a movie about Faye Dunaway making a movie about Leona Helmsley.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a movie about a fake movie that never happened about Faye Dunaway playing Leona Helmsley. Because they wanted it to happen so badly. Anyway, patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia is where the discussion happens. A new person joined today. Oh, by the way, I should have told this on Just Between Us Girls. And I know I'm cursing myself. Wood, knocking on it. I have almost no notes for, these are the fewest notes I've ever had for an episode, ever in my life. I have almost nothing to say about it. So
I actually have some notes. I actually do have some notes.
So get this. So, the other day, I would say I get about 2 or 3 Instagram ads a week. Okay. From listeners. I actually get 10 ads a week, but 7 of them are a big titty woman who's oh, you want to fuck? I'm like, and then
Lori, I'll see you next week on.
Yeah, Lori. No, but I always look and they never follow drag. I always go to look to see if they follow other drag people. Okay.
Yeah. When I get requests for friends, I always look to see it. A lot of times now they follow you and Drag Race Recap and all that, the usual cast of characters.
So I get this one the other day and it's not just that he's a twink. Okay.
But that helps.
No, it has nothing to do with, I have no comment on him. What I'm saying though is I'm going through his Instagram profile and he is legit Richie Cunningham come to life. Okay. He is like this twink. The latest picture, I think, I don't follow him, is him like caressing and holding a cat like in a loving way. He cleans cat shelters on his spare time for a local, like a no-kill shelter or something, right?
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and then he's like, there's a ton of pictures of him with like these people, and he's like, they're his parents, and he's like, I love my parents so much, and they go places, and I'm like, he is like every parent's dream gay boy, right? Like the reason I say that is like parents who are cool with it, they're like, I'll never lose my son. I will always have my little baby son, right? I won't lose him to some fucking smelly bitch, you know? And I'm like I feel like he every night kneels by his bed and like his like matching pajama set and goes like, now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul take me, you know, like, and like
with a beam of moonlight coming in through the windows.
Yeah, and you see the stardust, you know, and a cat, one solitary tear goes down his cat's eye, you know? Yeah, definitely a Miyazaki movie come to life, right? And I go, this must be a mistake. So I actually message him. And I go, I think you followed me by accident. Because you're too nice and sweet and wholesome to follow me. And he
was
goes,
his response, I want you to shit in my mouth?
No, his response is like, ha ha ha, I love the show. Right? And then that was the end of the conversation for the most part. Okay. But it was just like, but I'm like, maybe he's one of these people. Maybe you're right. Maybe he's like probably one of the most famous afterthoughts in the community. He started out like that, you know? Now he's saying that he's going to line up and anyone who wants to eat his ass out at BetaCon can do so. Our convention.
Well, how is that going to work? Is it where you're going to have him on a table like when they have the naked women with sushi on their bodies, but he's just going to be ass up?
No, you know when they give you your swag bag? You have to reach into his hole and take it out.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Okay, well, Taylor, let's get into this.
Okay.
This week, the girls dig through unopened boxes to find... oh my God, what a convenient thing, you know? The girls dig through unopened boxes to find unconventional materials to use to create their outfits. Georgia snatches a win, while Jasmine Kennedy and Maddie Morphosis are placed in the bottom two. After a lip-sync battle for their lives, Jasmine Kennedy lives to see another day, while Maddie Morphosis is asked to sashay away. Taylor the Latte Boy, name 2 things you liked about the episode and 1 thing you did not.
So 2 things I liked about the episode is I always like the unconventional sewing challenges. I think that it really kind of helps to separate the creative from the hangers on. And I thought there were some really good looks. Another thing that I definitely liked was this Taraji P. Henson. Great judge, clearly a fan of the show, clearly enjoyed being a part of this and had constructive criticism to say. The stuff that she talked about in Untucked was really good. It just felt very heartfelt. So I feel like she's been a judge before early on. But I was glad to see her. There. The thing I did not like, I am going to say that, and this is similar to what you did not like. I was the guest second chair on UK versus the World this week. Oh, that award-winning episode? Yes, that award-winning episode. And you talked about the goopery and production shenanigans of the winners and the losers. And that was very apparent this week as well. That was storyline driven for multiple people versus who should have won. What about you? First of all,
they're so nice. They're not good. They're not bad. They're just nice. That's all I'm going to say. But they're also nice. Okay? Yeah. And Cornbread is nice too, but there was something about her that brought it all together, you know?
There was an edge to her.
There was just something, she gave it the edge that this cast needed. And now it's just an amorphous blob of nice. Okay.
A metamorphosis blob of nice?
Yes, exactly. Because she doesn't even look fully formed either. But anyway, like you, Taraji P. Henson was a highlight for me. I don't know if we're going to really go over Untucked today, but that speech she gave the girls, because they were telling her, like, the two people who were in the bottom, Jasmine and Maddie, were like, we're in the bottom, and she's like, she gave this amazing speech about, you know, being told no and feeling rejected and whatnot, and it was just a great speech, especially since, you know, I think we'll talk a little bit about Untucked, but it's something that I could totally relate to today and what I'm kind of going through, and so it really resonated with me. So yeah, I thought she was a bright spot. The thing I did not like, I think is tangentially related to what you said. It's not necessarily the manipulation of the outcome of the episode, as much as the lies. It's just the lies that everyone should know I'm very angry about this. I don't ever watch Untucked. But they did that thing during the main stage where they showed this thing with dramatic music. I go, oh my God, this is going to be I said what I said. You don't have star quality moment. And so I actually watched fucking Untucked, even though I had to write the script while watching Untucked. What a big fucking nothing burger that was. And I was like, oh, I should have known that they're just liars. And they lie.
Yeah. I thought that was smart, and I wrote that in my notes. That is a very smart thing to do to get people to watch Untucked. But it did feel, and even then, you wrote me halfway through the. I don't even know if you would call it a fight. They both seemed to be fighting with themselves. It was very weird.
I think you and I fought more just between us girls.
And it just, where you said, you goes, well, this is a whole lot of nothing. And I was just like, just wait, because I was thinking it was going to get to that point, and then it really never did.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, just the lies and the gooper. Even in this episode, like they were like, oh, that RuPaul's going to read Diabetes for filth when they come back from the break. Nothing happened. It was all lies.
Well, that's just one of these now that it's almost like, I don't even look at that as that's what's going to happen. I almost look at that as we're peering into the multiverse, and it's just an alternate reality in which that would have happened, but it's not happening on our plane of reality.
Yeah, it's happening in somebody's reality. Yeah. All right. After Orion's elimination, George just gives up reading the mirror message and doubts her own abilities in the competition. Bosco surfs the momentum from her win, and Carrie notices that tension is rising in the workroom. The next day, RuPaul enters the workroom to announce this week's Maxi Challenge. The girls will use unconventional materials to put together a challenge. They dig through fake Glamazon Prime materials to collect materials for their outfit. That's horrible writing job. I wrote this script today. Willow struggles to open her boxes, and no one comes forward to help her. Meanwhile, Diabetes tells Willow Pill that Willow needs to find a new approach to her baby outfit. Taylor the Latte Boy, all things after the elimination, all things the next day. What do you got for us, Taylor?
Well, I thought when Georges walked in, what I wrote was, she looks mad. Mm-hmm. Like, usually you see the girls looking kind of relieved and or sad.
Yeah. She
looked pissed off when she walked in. Right? I thought that's something that we don't normally see. Mm-hmm. When she says, I don't want to lip sync again, I thought that's not good. Mm-hmm. I initially thought, I'm like, oh, well, then there's a good chance that she's going to go home. So I was very surprised by that. The whole Diabetes, I'm tired of being safe. I want critiques. I want all of that kind of stuff. Talk about biting her in the ass later on, but we've seen this before. We saw this with Denali last season. And it didn't necessarily work out really great for Denali. And I feel like it's not going to work out great for Diabetes too. I thought it was funny that we got a Dragula shout out, which she was referred to as Bitter Betty.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'll stop there for right now. What do you think about that section of the show?
I really don't have much. I just said, I wrote here, the editors are really trying to play everything up now for anything remotely interesting now that cornbread is gone. They're trying to bring little tiny things that probably they would ignore in the past. It's just like, I actually feel sorry for that. I'm not even blaming them. They must be looking at this footage and going like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? How do I make this into compelling television?
Yeah.
It must be very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Now, what about the next day? RuPaul comes in, she makes the announcement. There's a weird thing where they were almost playing it for real. Like, because there's later they go like, I can't believe Michelle really orders all this stuff. And I'm like, I know it's like with a wink, tongue in cheek kind of thing, but it's still like, all right, we get it. It's not that funny.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those that I feel like Ru scopes out who's going to be in the top and who's going to be in the bottom by how much they're willing to do the bad acting. Of whether they laugh super hard at a joke or they all look super concerned, or even the whole idea of, where's cornbread? Where's cornbread? Meanwhile, they all take a bus together over to the studio. And it just, that to me was, this week it was particularly egregious, I thought. I want to know who the two new pit crew guys are.
Okay. I didn't get a really good look at them.
The one guy in particular, super hot.
Which guy? There's Bryce, then there's Bruno. Who else is there?
There's Bryce, Bruno. There was two other ones, and it was the second one in. Super hot. And the first one, he had like tattoos on his leg or something. He was kind of sexy too. But the second one, I was like,
would you ever get a tattoo, Taylor?
No. Yes, I would. But at this point, I've gone my entire life without getting one. So it kind of feels like...
What would you get? Like Calvin Peen or something?
My thought had been at one point, when I wanted to travel more, which I don't necessarily want to travel, or it's probably not in my cards that I'm going to be traveling as much. I wanted to travel to each of the places where I am Italian, English, German, and Greek. So I wanted to go to Italy, Germany, Greece, and England. And after I got each one, I was going to get a band on my lower leg that was going to be split into 4. And then the flags for each of those countries around the band, which I guess I could still do. But my thought had been I would get it after I went to the country. How about you?
I felt sorry for Willow because...
You're such a jerk.
No one was helping poor Willow. Like and I was like, opening their boxes. And poor Willow, Cornbread wasn't there to help them. Willow's feeling Cornbread gone more than anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised, she has an actual affliction. I think we'd all be okay if the producers came in or gave her a fucking box cutter to open the goddamn box.
That's compassionate. When have the producers of RuPaul's Drag Race ever shown compassion to a girl that is struggling on the show?
I know, but it's so... the person has an affliction. It's so mean. Asshole.
Well, and I guess...
to you, by the way.
Yeah, I know. That's not the first time I've heard that today from somebody. So was it where it was supposed to be whatever boxes you grabbed, those were your boxes? Because I didn't understand the whole thing of where Jasmine grabbed a quarter of the boxes. So, but then it seemed like they were opening the boxes and then they were trading and stuff. Or they were like, I'm not using this out of my pile. Do you want it? Is it sort of like you just wanted to be at first dibs on things?
I don't think the rules were particularly clear because it seemed like Jasmine was the only one hoarding boxes and pulling them aside and saying these are mine, where it seemed like the other ones were ripping the boxes open and digging through them and choosing what they wanted out of them, which I think is actually a smarter move. But, yeah, I don't know. And I don't know why they didn't make a bigger deal about how kind of fucking douchey it was for Jasmine to do this. And and Taylor, please don't be offended, when I say this. But that's so fucking, it's just I literally did mutter, I'm like, fucking white people. That is so white people to be like, I'm going to take these boxes all over here by myself and they're mine. This is mine. Okay, Native Americans? And I go, okay.
Wow. Okay.
No,
it was a gross thing, especially because she was grabbing so many of them and seemed to be grabbing some out from under girls while they were grabbing boxes and stuff. But that speaks to that we're very young and we are not very aware of how we are perceived by others.
Mm-hmm. Jasmine loves the material she hoarded. Meanwhile, this is in the workroom. Back in the workroom, Jasmine loves the material she hoarded. Meanwhile, Maddie shares that she's feeling the pressure since she was in the bottom on the last sewing challenge. On the table visits, RuPaul brings along Carson for the table visits. God, who wrote this fucking script? I did. George just pledges not to let her top down. Carrie needs to reclaim her energy. Maddie confuses Carson with her outfit. Lady Camden gets the note to plump up her lip. Jasmine gets the note to tone down her outfit. Willow worries about time constraints. And finally, Daya fights back against the notion that she is a clone of former contestant Crystal Method. Taylor, the Latte Boy, please, on all things Workroom 1, on all things table visits, give me your thoughts, give me your concerns, give me your critiques.
I appreciate that Rue brought Carson in because it felt like Carson gave really constructive criticism to the girls with their stuff, and it wasn't just making jokes. So I would love to see Carson more in that aspect of these challenges versus the directing things and then making the dirty joke on the judges panel.
Welcome to the main.
Sorry.
At one point when Carrie was talking about the need to be perfect and being bullied, and Rue suddenly says, "Do you still carry the hurt?" I mean, you basically hurt the wood, hit the table. It was the first Rue boner of the year, I think. Mm-hmm. It just was that was just a gross thing. So, and my other thought about at least this act, because I feel like they split it up over two acts, was I feel like some of the activities and things that they have done this season have been to purposely fuck with Maddie. Mm-hmm. I think that last week's challenge with the balloons, part of the reason they did that was so that Maddie had to look like he was fucking a guy from the back. Mm-hmm. So, and then you've got this week of where Rue looks right at Maddie and says, "So is your pussy on fire or not?" Mm-hmm. And you could kind of see, like, you saw this like panic of, I don't know what to say.
The tricky thing with Maddie, and I think Maddie always looks like that. I think Maddie just always looks surprised on her face. That's just her look. I go back and forth because there's a part of me that's like, that's wildly inappropriate, what to say to him, right? Especially since he's in a position of power. Uh-huh. But the other thing, she's a fucking straight guy who does drag. Like, fucking get you. I'm sure you've heard a lot worse. So,
but not on a national platform of where, it's one thing if he's sitting in the back with the other girls and they're all talking like that. That's one thing, but it's another thing to have to go on national television and say, as a straight cis man, and go, "My pussy's on fire." Yes, my pussy's on fire. I just, it was a little weird. That's all. I have one more thought about that first act, or that act, and that was, I found it interesting that Rue and Carson, they showed them talking about Angeria's curtain and saying something like, "I really hope she takes the lining out of that. It'll make it much easier to work with." Mm-hmm. You've talked about how small that room is.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a hint? That was their way of giving her a hint without giving her a hint?
I don't know where she was. I mean, the room's not tiny, but it's just a lot smaller than you think it is on the show. And I'm wondering if the way they said it and where she was, she could have theoretically not heard it.
Well, yeah, they're going to, "Hey, RuPaul." "Yes, Carson." They're not going to do that, but they figured at the very least that there's a chance as she was walking away, she could hear it. And if they looked like they were whispering it to each other, I don't know. That just was, I don't know that we've ever seen that after a queen walks away, even when there hasn't necessarily always been I know that like Jinx has been in the workroom and Raven's been in the workroom and Vanjie has for like various challenges to give advice, but we've never seen after a queen walks away that Rue and the guest conferring with each other.
Well, it's very unusual for her to have quote unquote a peer. You know, Jinx and Vanjie and whomever, they're not going to be on the judges panel later. But Carson's opinion and theory is important. You know what's funny is, and when they went to the workroom, is when they actually referred to Maddie for the first time in this episode, I was like, oh, that's right, she's here. Like, she's been such a terrible television presence that I had forgotten for the course of the episode that she was on the show. During the table visits, I actually agree with you. I think Carson is they should have Carson on the look challenges do that more. He does a very good Tim Gunn, you know?
Yes.
And so he should do that more on the look challenges. Also, I think, more going with what you were saying, is RuPaul works well bouncing ideas off a peer, so to speak, in the workroom. I will say, how about RuPaul calling out Lady Camden on her thin lips? And then it made me look at Lady Camden. Oh, she has no lips. She really didn't.
But you know what? Lady Camden is smart in that she said, when Ru tells you to do something, you don't ask why or you don't question it. You just do it.
Yeah, let's go to the next person then. Let's talk about Diabetti getting red for looking a lot like Crystal Method. And I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
I thought, okay, well, first of all, I thought it was actually kind of smart I thought it was smart on Dia's part to just ask point blank. You're guaranteed to know if you don't ask, because it would have either made for good television, or she would have got information. I don't know that she was expecting what she heard, but it also looked like it might have just been the angle of the camera that she was more asking the question to Carson than to Ru, in case it was something where Ru said, you don't ask, you don't get to ask questions like that or something. It was where she was presenting it to Carson instead. So I thought it was smart. When she kept saying, though, I don't look like Crystal, I just wrote, what? Like, no, you do look like Crystal.
I said
they showed multiple pictures of you up against stuff that Crystal even looked like she was wearing.
Yeah.
And that confessional interview, that was her trying to convince herself that she doesn't do like Crystal's makeup. And
and look, we can talk about this when we get to the looks, but how do you say I don't look like Crystal Method? And I wrote to a friend who would be an expert in the field. Is Crystal Method walking the runway? Because that was head to toe a Crystal Method everything.
Yep.
And look, here's the deal. I would be willing to concede, things that happen in the order on the show aren't necessarily reality. I'll go back. For instance, what's the name of that girl from like season 12 or 13? And they brought her back for All Stars, even though she probably wasn't even ready for All Stars. What's her name? I can't remember her name. The one with the eyes.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
She has that famous video where she does.
Mayhem Miller.
Mayhem Miller.
The one with the eyes.
Yeah. Mayhem Miller coined the term party, right? But Adore Delano came on first.
Right.
And so that's her phrase now, And it's the same thing here where maybe Betty and Crystal developed a look together, or they got it from somebody else, but now it belongs to Crystal Method. And unfortunately, you have to go fuck,
Right.
I got to come up with a new way to paint my face, because that's going to always happen, regardless of whether it's the truth or not, or you invented it, because the reality is Crystal came on the show first. And so I don't know how she gets the note and then goes on there and literally does a look that she created, by the way. She didn't bring it with her.
Right. Right.
And she created a look that is 100% in the wheelhouse of Crystal Method. I would, to be honest with you, I was surprised she wasn't in the bottom. I think the gift that they gave her was safe. And I agree that the look was impeccable. That's why that's the gift. It was impeccable. Bravo. But baby, that is Crystal Method.
Yeah.
Thank you. What do you have to say about that?
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. The whole, even the concept of it, and you would think after something like that, because she even says at one point, she goes, I'm going to distress the dress. It's still going to be bright, but I'm going to do something to Diabetti it up. I didn't see any sort of distressing on the dress. It just looked like a baby doll dress, and she had the makeup, the House of Method makeup.
Yeah, everything.
So,
even the aesthetic of the eyes and the puppet and it was
clown. It was clown drag.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was very strange. Taylor, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of the episode. I don't know if we have any more thoughts on table visits. And we will come back and we'll take care of all that stuff then.
This episode is brought to you by Essentia. A better you starts with better hydration. Essentia is on a mission to inspire people to do what matters most. Their proprietary ionization process transforms water from any source into ionized alkaline water, providing water that's 99.9% pure with a pH of 9.5 or higher. Essentia overachieving H2O, the #1 ionized alkaline water. Shop now.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Hi, I'm going to whisper some things to you now about Crunch chocolate bars. Because apparently this whispering thing is a thing that makes you feel things. It's saying something crunchy is coming in the candy wrapper language. Imagine your tongue hiking up those crispy, rocky ridges. Now, drum roll, please.
Wow, that's good. Crunchy, munchy chocolate doesn't whisper.
Turn up the fun with Crunch.
Yeah, it's late. I don't do that late. You know? I had to go, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else to say about the table visits, or what's your story?
No, I thought George's starting over was, well, obviously it was a good idea.
We're not there yet.
And yeah, yes, we are. Wasn't that part?
That's not table visits.
I thought they interviewed her with the table visit. They not?
They did, but when she comes up with a new outfit, that's after the table visits. Get with the program, Taylor.
Okay. Well, okay.
Let's do this. Let me read the next part, and if we have to go back, we go back.
Okay, well, I have one more thing I wanted to ask you about that kind of goes back, and that was with Willow with the stress dreams.
Yeah.
Do you ever have stress dreams?
It's so funny you fucking say that. I had it last night, and I'm going to talk about it later when I talk about diabetes and the Untucked and stuff.
Okay.
But I'm supposed to. I don't know what time. I said I wouldn't look until after the show. I'm supposed to find out the results of the midterm my Spotify midterm.
Oh, okay.
Today, and I've known it's supposed to be today. We haven't gotten anything yet. I don't know if we have yet. I don't want to look during the show, and they're going to name 2 winners, and they get a cash prize, right?
Oh.
Now, the thing is, the afterthoughts have let me know that mine's is the worst and that this other guy had the best one and whatever, right? So I'm not expecting to win because even my own fucking people were like, you're horrible, okay?
But you wouldn't have it any other way.
I wouldn't have it any other way. But what as I've told Aiden today and whatnot, is not that I don't care. This is the way I phrased it. If by some miracle, someone else dies or something, I win, then I'll be very excited. But if as expected, I don't win, okay, it'll sting because not winning always stings, but in a way that'll be all over. I'll be over in, I think, 10 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. But an hour tops, okay? But I don't want to ruin the show. Okay. And, but last night, so I don't really care that much, but last night I was tossing and turning. I kept having nightmares about me finding out the results.
Okay.
So that's weird. Yeah.
Well, maybe in your brain you want it a little bit more than you're willing to admit.
No, I would be ecstatic. I think what really hurts me more is that my own people My own Discord people were telling me how much I suck.
Were they telling you that you sucked, or were they telling you that the other guy's show was better than yours?
The other guy's show was better than mine.
So, in fact, they weren't telling you that you suck.
Well, if you don't win, then you suck, Taylor.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for that peek into your psyche.
My own
second place is just the first loser.
Taylor, my own people, though. If my own people are doing this, like, who needs enemies when you have family like this? I see you land to the Discord. What are they saying?
They're saying lovely things.
Uh-oh. See, exactly.
They're saying wonderful things.
Exactly. This is why I don't look at the Discord. Guys, if you want to say horrible things to me, to my face, go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Back in the workroom, Willow continues to struggle with her hands. Carrie teaches Nigeria about the step and repeat. George just realizes she needs to start her outfit over from scratch. By the way, it's elimination day and the girls get ready for the runway. Bosco remains unimpressed with Deja's outfit. Georges and Nigeria go head to head about their padding. Carrie shares her rough story about her home life. Jasmine discusses her own difficult relationship with her own father. And meanwhile, Maddie has no relationship with his mother. Taylor, anything more about Georgia starting this new dress from scratch, the workroom, the elimination day, Carrie, Maddie, Jasmine? Go, give us everything.
I loved the reading each other. The reading each other felt very genuine and felt very fun. And honestly, this is the way you read somebody. You don't do the library is open reading challenges. So that was a fun couple of minutes to watch. The stuff about Carrie was horrible. The stuff about the way her father talked to her and everything was just, I can't imagine for her to have gone through an experience like that.
Yeah.
And particularly, and then come out of it so poised and so put together, almost, as they're saying, kind of almost to a fault, speaks to how, hopefully she has gotten, help, emotional help for that over the years, whether that's through her drag family, whether that's professional help. She was very, the fact that she can talk about it and talk about it so openly, I thought was really kind of impressive. So, and just incredibly sad. And then as, Jasmine and Maddie were talking about theirs as well, that was sad too. But the one with Carrie kind of stuck with me.
What's interesting is I believe, I have to go back and listen, I believe this is a part 2 or a take 2 on Carrie's story. I believe this is a story she was starting to get into when she triggered cornbread. And then the moment became about cornbread. Because she was starting to get into a story about how difficult her home life was when she came out as trans, but then it's okay, rightfully so. It wasn't like cornbread was stealing the moment. It triggered cornbread, and I think they had her basically do a retake on that story because we hadn't gotten it the first time, really. We got a glimpse of it. Any other thoughts on? This show is just. There's not many notes on this show. My notes are officially done. I don't know. The joke not the joke, but Lady Camden saying that she came out to her father on her way to ballet boarding school was very a cute moment. It was a nice way to kind of lighten things up after what was a very serious moment. Yeah. Not Lady Camden coming for the Miss Congeniality gig. I think she has a shot.
I think she has a shot too.
She has a shot. All right, Taylor. Any other thoughts? Have all your thoughts up to the looks been covered?
Yes.
All right. Well, now it's time for the looks. As you guys remember, if you guys listened to Drag Race UK, versus the World episode 2, Taylor and Christian Ochoa were a big, unmanageable ball of charisma during that. And so, good thing we have just Taylor. I don't know if we could handle that much energy.
Well, I don't use words like ruching.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. It's pretty.
Christian is talking. Most of the time that Christian talks to me, A, he's insulting me. And B, I don't listen because he's usually insulting me. It's usually some sort of insult, crouched inside of a compliment.
Okay.
So I just ignore. By the way, Christian Ochoa and Robert Mata, they are the hosts over at Bring It to the Runway. Go ahead and subscribe over there. You know, to be honest with you like them, even if you're on Patreon, subscribe to them because they're covering UK versus the world, but we're not putting that out on Patreon. We have way too much content. And it's available everywhere. Bring It to the Runway is available on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, everywhere. It's available everywhere, Taylor. So go ahead and check that out now. Go ahead. So Taylor, give us your favorite looks, least favorite looks. Come on.
I loved Lady Camden's look.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved Bosco's look, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised Bosco wasn't in the top. I love the color blocking of it. Those two colors in particular, that bright, almost like a neon blue with the bright orange.
Yeah.
And just everything about that was polished. And Lady Camden's look was just incredible with the butterfly and really well put together for something that was basically plastic.
Yeah.
And let me look through the rest of them. I think that I liked Angeria's. Angeria's at first, I didn't like it. And then as I looked at it more, I thought, oh, wow, that is really incredible.
Yeah.
That is an incredible look. And because it gave that 80s aesthetic that I liked.
Yeah.
I love. So even though they said that she modernized it, I was seeing something that would have been on an episode of Dynasty.
A show I've never seen. Is there any other thoughts on the looks?
Well, I could say that I did not like, the ones that I did not like were Maddie's was horrible. I didn't like Jasmine's. Jasmine's was horrible. So those two, I believe.
Oh, you thought Jasmine was horrible? I thought there was too much, but I thought it was actually ultimately pretty.
It looked messy to me. And I didn't like Carrie's look either. I didn't like the way it was in the back. I didn't like the weird like macrame thing that was off to the side. It just kind of looked like this weird bulky thing, and it didn't look, the symmetry of it didn't necessarily work for me. But those were my three least favorite, and my top three were Bosco, Crystal, and I forget who I said. Oh, Angeria.
All right. Have you said all your thoughts on the look, Taylor?
Rue's outfit was horrible.
Oh, Rue's outfit was horrible.
Rue's outfit was horrible, and I don't understand why she does that, where she puts the skin tone between, and it's always a completely different color than her actual skin tone. There's got to be something they can do about that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Have all looks been shared? All thoughts on the looks been shared?
All thoughts on the look done been shared.
All right. Back on the main stage, Georges gets the win for the challenge, while Maddie Morphosis and Jasmine Kennedy are placed in the bottom two, forcing them to duke it out in a lip-sync battle for their lives. The song, Sugar Mama by Beyonce. In the end, Jasmine Kennedy hears the words, Shantae, you stay, while Maddie Morphosis is asked to sashay away. Taylor the Latte Boy, any final thoughts on this episode? Let's talk about the lip sync. We will get to Untucked. I have it right here in my notes. We will talk about Untucked after this, but any final thoughts on the main episode?
Georgia should have not won that. I can't believe that she won that.
Why do you hate Mexicans?
I think an Anglo like Lady Camden should have won it.
Mm-hmm.
So that dress was, there was construction to that dress. There was a story to that outfit, the butterfly outfit. That she took their notes. She did everything that was supposed to be. But I think that they realize that there is this small pool of girls. There is Daya, there is Camden, Lady Camden, and they want a win so bad that they're going to drag that out.
Yeah.
And they also realize, particularly with Daya Betty, she really, really wanted the win. I mean, she kind of made the Jan face of when she heard that you're safe. And the idea that, I mean, as we kind of saw in the next week on, she has a problem with Georges winning. And Georges, we've seen that before. We haven't never necessarily seen what Lady Camden came up with, but I think that was completely storyline driven. That wasn't an outfit that won on merit. It was a cute outfit, but it was not one on merit. So that's what I have to say about the win. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No. Because I feel like the wins don't mean anything anymore. Not in this stage.
Okay.
Not in this stage of the competition. Look, we've talked about this before. I feel nothing matters until post Snatch Game. Up until Snatch Game and after, then it matters. But up until you get to Snatch Game, it's like fucking like the semi, like, I don't know what you call it, like the, not even the semifinals, but like where it's just you're practicing to go to the finals kind of thing. I don't know sports.
That's just a regular season.
Yeah. Season. That's all I'm just going to repeat words. What did you think of the lip sync?
I thought it was another massacre. I thought that, I will say that Jasmine killed it. And I had said before that when they showed the clip of Untucked, because I was actually thinking, like, I'm not going to watch Untucked. I got to take the dogs out. I got to, we have to get the air mattress set up for my nephew and all this kind of stuff. And then they showed that clip in Babalu, and I looked at each other and went, well, I guess we're watching Untucked. And, we kind of saw how that went. But I thought that it was clear from the get-go that she was going to win. And it was a massacre. It was a massacre. And to the best of my knowledge, she didn't do a death drop in it. She got down on the ground and stuff, but there was never the actual, like, where she slams down and does all that kind of stuff. So in that regards, I like that because I'm tired of death drops. But I thought that we had another week similar to the week that we had last week with Georges.
Very interesting. Untucked. What were your thoughts on Untucked?
Untucked was the only thing to really talk about, other than because we already talked about the Taraji B. Henson stuff, but is the fight, and I say that in quotes, between Maddie and Jasmine. I think that started off as a Maddie kind of psyching herself up, and Jasmine taking it personally and then immediately going into that, attack thing. But it was, at some point they were both just kind of like, it felt like neither one of them was talking at each other. They were just kind of talking out loud and facing one another. It was a weird, I don't know if it was a choice with the edit. I don't know what it was, but you were kind of hopeful, like, oh, finally something good's going to happen on Untucked. And it was sort of like, wah, wah, wah.
It almost felt that they both realized they needed to perform, because it started off with a misunderstanding that Jasmine seemed to understand, that it got cleared up right away. Like, it was like a weird, like a bad roller coaster. Like, it was, building. We hit the peak, fake out because I actually get it. And then boom, went to like 60, from 0 to 60 in like a second for no reason. It seemed almost kind of like, oh wait, this could be our moment.
Well, and I mean, it felt like Maddie was saying the same thing over and over again. Almost like,
she must listen to the show.
Almost like he was trying to get the best edit. He was trying to give them multiple edits, multiple takes to use. But in saying that, Jasmine was taking, because ultimately, I think in my head, what Maddie was saying is, I am my own competition here. Because she even said at one point, I don't want to slay you. I want to slay the lip sync.
Yes, 100%. I think it was cleared up, but then it went to, go ahead.
Then it just went to this weird place of where they were both screaming at each other. And it was really weird. It was not what I was hoping for. When you consider you had last year the infamous, Star Quality and, Tamisha and what the hell's her name? Candy Muse fight. Untucked kind of needs at least one of those a season, and we thought we were going to get that with this one, and it was just sort of wah, wah, wah.
I will say it's making it difficult to recap this show. I mean, like, there are things in Untucked I want to talk about. I mean, but who would care? Who would care that I related to Diabetes at the beginning? Who cares about that, right? Who cares about how I related to Taraji P. Henson and what she was saying about how you have to keep going, even though, you're told no. Who cares? No one cares about that, Taylor.
But I think that's why I don't agree with that. I think that you are another voice, and I am another voice at times, of where people can relate to us with things like that. And so when people hear Taraji P. Henson saying something, and then you're saying, this is how I took it, I think that's what makes you such a great host. But this show in particular, is it makes it a little bit more real people talking about it.
Thank you for saying I'm a great host. The people in my own network don't agree. They would rather have the other guy, who I contractually cannot say his name. I might as well get him to come. He's straight. That's the best part.
Is Maddie Morphosis going to be the next host?
Yeah, Maddie Morphosis is going to be the next
year?
co-host of the show.
And the only other thing that I can think of, I thought of something else and it went away. I don't know. Oh, I know what it was. So this was the first time, even though it's very early in the season, that I thought there's a chance that chocolate bar could be gold.
Oh, because of Maddie being straight. Yeah,
because of Maddie being straight and the fight.
But she was such boring TV that they were like, it's not going to be gold.
No, I know. She got interesting in rabbit ears in the last couple of.
It's going to be Willow, Carrie, or who else going to be Willow, Carrie,
Angeria.
Angeria. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be one of the three of them.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Taylor?
No, I think that's good.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14. So, for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. You can also leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Taylor has another podcast. It's called Pod is My Co-Pilot, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Taylor the Latte Boy on Instagram and Twitter at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and Twitter at Joe Betance. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen and Zach Birch. Very special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: Agnesia Shopinska, April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Coco San Pedro, Declan Prosser, Drew Brooks, E. Smith, Emma, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Lauren Eckert, Lionel Campbell, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Nicholas Springham, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Sarah Yu, Tom Bombs, Travis Newland, Troy Anderson, Zach Nelson, Corinna Williamson, Elizabeth Timmer, Nikki Baker, Robert NYC, David Olson, and Alexandra Sixt. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.